Hey fam, welcome back. I'm John Hartness. I'm the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books, and I've been in the writing and publishing industry for 16 years now, since 2009, and I have, in that time, written and published over 40 books of my own, and since Falstaff launched in 2016, we've published over 350 individual titles. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to spot a publishing scam. Because for everyone who dreams of being published, there is a scammer out there who wants to take your money and give you nothing for it, or give you heartache for it. Um, the old line is that there's a sucker born every minute, and you don't need to be one, because scammers are out there, they're everywhere, and they are very adaptable, very adaptive, and unfortunately, they're pretty smart. So here are some ways that you can spot a scam, and some things that you may have someone reach out to you about that's just not real. I'm sorry. It's great to think that you would get a call from Hollywood just out of the blue and they're going to send you a big fat check, and it's almost impossible. So, number one, agents probably are not ever going to email you out of the blue soliciting your manuscript. Maybe, maybe you're a unicorn, but unless you've sold 500,000 books or more in the past year, you're probably not having an agent just randomly reach out to you over the internet. And even if you have sold a couple 100,000 books this year, it's still pretty unlikely, because a reputable agent has more submissions coming in than they can sort through, much less go out and find the next great thing. In my career, I've sold a couple 100,000 books. Not this year. I've sold a couple 100,000 books in 16 years. I am what's called a mid-list author. I make my living at this, but I am not Rebecca Yaros. I am not any kind of fantastic, I'm not some huge, big bestseller. I make a living. I do okay. Do you know how many agents have reached out to me to represent me with big New York publishers? Zero. Goose egg. I'm a proven commodity, and I don't have any agents reaching out to pluck me from the mid list and thrust me onto the bestseller lists. Um, it doesn't happen, y'all. I know a lot of people who have successfully transitioned from self-publishing to traditional publishing and landed an agent and have representation, and the vast majority of them queried those agents, or they were at a conference and met those agents, or someone gave them an introduction to an agent. But the agent didn't randomly email these people. It just doesn't happen. Agents don't have to go out looking for new clients. And if they are actual literary agents and they are emailing you, my friendly, dear, beloved, self-published baby writer with one book out, then they're probably a baby literary agent who hasn't sold any books either. Now, it may be that you, starting out in your writing career, can partner with an agent who is starting out in their career, and you can grow, grow, grow together. But that's not what you want an agent for. You want an agent to handle your career and help you make more money. You don't want an agent who's learning on the job. If you're going to sign with a junior baby agent, make sure they're in a great big old firm where somebody is overseeing what they're doing and can bail them out if they get in trouble. Don't don't be somebody's first client. Because frankly, they don't know what they're doing yet. So if an agent reaches out to you, delete the email. It's just safer. If by some quirk of fate, an actual literary agent reaches out to you, vet them. Don't follow a link in their email. Open a new browser window, Google the firm, Google the agent. If you click the link in their email, it's probably going to go to the scam site they set up to rip you off. So no, your dream agent is almost certainly not emailing you out of the blue. I'm sorry. My dream agent also isn't emailing me out of the blue. I don't know who my dream agent would be. If you are my dream agent, email me. I'll delete it. Number 2, if a publisher emails you out of the blue, it's unlikely that they're legit. I am a publisher. I do not email authors out of the blue saying, "Hi, I read your self-published book and now I want to give you a 6-figure contract." There are a very few people in the history of self-publishing that this has actually happened to. All of the ones I know of, it happened to them in 2010, 2011. And those days are kind of gone, y'all. The big boom of signing self-published Wunderkinder is over. It happened. Several people got big contracts and most of them didn't earn out, and that didn't go well for anybody. So big publishers are not emailing you. And you know your genre. You know who the big publishers are in your genre. So if you get an email from a publisher saying, "Hi, I'm Bob. I'm with publisher Hugo." Open a new browser window. Google Bob. Google publisher Hugo. And then realize that Bob is full of crap and Bob is trying to rip you off. Number 3, when a publisher asks you for money, walk away. Walk away. I am a publisher. My authors do not pay me anything to produce a book. Ever. Legitimate publishers do not ask authors to pay for any element of production of their books. As an author with a traditional, legitimate publisher, you pay $0 for editorial. You pay $0 for interior formatting. You pay $0 for cover creation. You pay $0 to upload the book to everywhere it's being uploaded. The only time you should pay a publisher is if you are ordering print copies of your book. That's it. The only time an author sends me money to Falstaff is if they are purchasing copies of the book to sell at events. If a publisher asks you for money, they are not a legitimate press. I don't give a shit about hybrid publishing and investing in your success. These are not the fingers I want to use for those people. Publishers pay for production. Authors get paid by publishers. Do not pay to be published. Now, you may be saying, "But what about self-publishing?" Self-publishing is when you divide yourself in half and your writer half creates wonderful art, and your publisher half spends buckets of money to take this art and make it into a book. You are both writer and publisher. Publisher, you will spend money to make this book happen. Writer, you will not spend money. You may hire a publishing services company. That is different than a publisher. These scam publishers take your book, provide minimal to no editorial, provide the very barest garbage cover, and upload it to Amazon and Ingram and make it available for sale. But they're not going to put your book in bookstores. They're barely going to put your book on Amazon. What they're going to do is charge you a buttload of money and give you an inferior product, and then they're going to hold out royalties. That's a scam, kids. If this happens to you, I'm sorry. You are not the first person. Unfortunately, you will not be the last person, but you have been scammed. Publishers don't ask for money up front. Publishers make money when people buy your book. Number 4 sounds a lot like number 3 because only we replace agent. We replace the word publisher with agent. Agents also do not ask for money, ever. Agents don't get paid to read manuscripts. Agents don't get paid to evaluate manuscripts. Agents don't get paid to doctor manuscripts. Agents get paid to sell manuscripts. And they are only paid when the manuscript sells. An agent's compensation comes from the publisher. In the contracts that I have written for agented authors, the royalty checks go to the agent, who then takes their cut and sends a check to the author. The agent asks for no money up front. If the agent, you'll notice the use of too many fingers once again in reference to these people. The agent asks for money, they're not an agent, they're a scammer. Agents don't charge reading fees, agents don't charge you. The agent makes money when you make money. Period. That's it. Number 5. Anyone who reaches out to you out of the blue and promises anything in publishing is trying to take your money. Or maybe they're trying to sleep with you, but you shouldn't buy into that either. There are no friggin' promises in publishing. There are contracts, those are promises. But if someone reaches out to you out of the blue and says, "Hi, I found your book on Amazon and I can guarantee that I will find you a place in a New York publishing house. And I can guarantee that if you follow my simple 27-step course, you will make the New York Times bestseller list in a month." They're thieves, people. They're absolute frickin' criminals. They're trying to take your money. And they will take someone's money. Because unfortunately, there really is kind of one born every minute. There are no guarantees in publishing, and publishing moves slowly. So anyone who says that they can take you from zero to a published book in 30 days, well, they're either using a pile of computer farms to steal a ton of copyrighted content and then barf out basically incomprehensible gibberish and uploading that to Amazon and calling it published, or they're just going to take your money and run, like Steve Miller said. Most of you are too young to understand what I'm saying there, but for those of you who, like I, am old, they will take the money and run. So please, you'll note that there is a theme running through all of these. Y'all, they don't reach out to you. Publishers ain't emailing me. Publishers, agents ain't emailing me. The few times that I've actually had someone reach out directly to me about my books, I made them prove it. I was sitting at my desk one day, writing away, working on, I don't know, I think it was probably Damnation. I was working on the third Quincy Harker volume, and I get a random email. And it's one of those notifications where it pops up on the side and you see the person's name, and I was like, that's a famous name. They're not emailing me, and why in the world would their email be in all caps? That doesn't make any sense. So I just went back to typing, ignored it. Except my particular flavor of neurodivergence does not allow me to ignore email notifications. So when I'm really trying to focus, I have to turn off my email client. This morning I didn't, so I saw the little red dot and I couldn't ignore it, so I clicked it. I was like, huh. Well, this is obviously a scam because nobody this flippin' famous knows who I am, and they certainly would not be reaching out to me. But, like Ivory Soap, 99 and 44/100% convinced this was a scam, but hey, that means that I'm 56/100% believing that it might be real. I replied to the email pretending like I believed it. About 20 minutes later, I got a reply to my reply. And it was this incredibly famous person giving me their bio, telling me who they are, and expressing interest in one of my properties and for maybe developing it for the large or small screen. Um, Again, didn't believe it. Thought it was a pile of crap. Thought it was actually one of my Magic the Gathering buddies pranking me. And I started going down the list. I'm like, well, maybe it's Reeves. No, he's way too lazy. Maybe it's this guy. No, he doesn't have the computer savvy. Ooh, Spoonerman could do it. Nah, Spoonerman, Spoonerman's busy. So I was, all right, fine. I reply again. Get another reply. This time I'm like, all right, fine. Look, you've wasted a pile of my time. So I email back and say, look, I'm sorry to be like this, but the world is a dark and stormy place. Could you maybe send me a photo or something to prove you are who you say you are? About 10 minutes later, I got a QuickTime video emailed to me of Whoopi Goldberg standing backstage at the View saying, hey, John, it's Whoop. I just wanted to let you know it's really me. And I peed a little. And then I walked out into the living room and I looked at my wife and I said, honey, I just got an email from Whoopi Goldberg. She said, yeah, right. I said, no, really. And I showed her the email. She said, holy crap, that's Whoopi Goldberg. And I said, yeah, that's Whoopi effing Goldberg. But I made her send me proof of life. Because why in the world would Whoopi Goldberg be reading my stuff? Well, it actually turns out that Whoopi Goldberg is a fan of the Quincy Harker Demon Hunter series. And she had emailed me out of the blue. And that's the one time in 16 years that has happened to me. And it's kind of cooler than most anything that's happened in my writing career. And I get plenty of mileage from it in hotel bars, at conventions, and now on the YouTubes. But 99 times out of 100, if it seems too good to be true, it is. And if someone is reaching out to you, unless you're selling hundreds of thousands of books, they're not reaching out to you. So, one of the first things that you want to look at when you're evaluating whether something's a scam or not is, did you go find this agent, this publisher? Did an agent find this TV producer? Or did some rando who you've never heard of, working for a company you've never heard of, with kind of a half-baked website, find you? It's the same as any phishing scam email that you get. Check the source. check the name. Just like when you get one of those emails that says, your account has been hacked and I've taken over your screen and I've been watching you watch porn for months and I'm going to shut down your computer unless you pay me 512 bitcoins. I don't actually have any idea how much money a bitcoin is or what any of that means, but when you get one of those phishing emails, the first thing you do is you check the sent from field. And when it says gobbledygook at gobbledygook.jpn, then you know it's a BS email. Same thing when one of these scammers reaches out to you randomly and they say, we're going to make you $1 million. We're going to put you on the New York Times bestseller list. We're going to get you a movie deal. See, I don't know if you could hear that, but even Gandalf just came over and said, meow, that's bullshit, Daddy. Nobody does that in the business. Do they, buddy? This big fat furball knows what's up. Don't you, pal? Don't get screwed. Don't spend your money. Buy cat food instead. Or adopt a rescue kitty. See? So pay attention to the source. I literally had a random text message today reaching out saying, are you John Hartness, the author of The Big Bad 2? That rang a couple of bells. I am, in fact, was in fact, the co-editor of an anthology called The Big Bad 2. And this was published by Dark Oak Press back in, I legit have to reach back and find my readers to see when this was published. First printing 2015. But this guy was texting me randomly to help me market this book that I wrote. I didn't write it. I didn't even publish it. I was one of the editors on it, and I got paid what I was going to get paid off of this book. And I stopped getting any checks for this book 7 or 8 years ago. So you have to consider the source. Anytime someone is reaching out to you, make sure they're legit, make sure they're with a legit company, and then say, hey, who can I reach out to vouch for you? Check up on them. A legitimate publisher will say, sure, I've published this person, this person, this person, and they've had a great experience. A legitimate agent will say, go to our website, look at the books that we've published, and they may very well have an expansive client list on their website. But at the end of the day, the one thing that I can tell you about publishing scams is if it seems too good to be true, it almost certainly is. So pay attention to where everything's coming from. Look at everything with a grain of salt. But maybe, just maybe, some Academy Award winner will randomly email you loving your books. And if that happens, and boy, I hope it does, send me a message. If you've watched this far, you might as well subscribe because you've put up with me for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. So go ahead, ring the bell to get notified, leave a comment. Tell me your least favorite publishing scam. Tell me your horror stories. I promise to say I'm sorry that happened, and it's highly unlikely that I will make fun of you. All right. I'll be back in a little bit with more things about that you never really wanted to learn about the publishing industry, but if you learn it from a video, that means you don't learn it the hard way. Bye.